Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings stars Simu Liu, Awkwafina, and Tony Leung. It tells the story of Shang-Chi, the master of unarmed weaponry-based kung fu, being forced to confront his past after being drawn into the Ten Rings organization. Now, I was incredibly hyped for this movie, even back day one. As soon as I saw that they announced this movie, I was immediately hyped. I love Simu Liu from Kim's Convenience, and I could not wait to see what he would do in the leading role of a Marvel movie. And I was excited for Marvel to introduce a new, smaller character into the huge MCU that we know today. And this film is nothing short of incredible. The biggest praise around town that everyone's giving this movie is those fight action sequences, whatever you want to call them. They are outstanding, and let me tell you, they truly are outstanding. As far as I'm concerned, these are some of the best action sequences choreographed, directed in recent memory. There were multiple scenes where my friend and I would turn to each other and we would go, holy shit. It was just spectacular. But let's get into the cast, starting off with Simu Liu. Like I mentioned earlier, I was really excited to see what he could do in the star of a Marvel movie, and man, does he bring his all. You're going to see Simu Liu all over the place come 10 years from now. This is a movie that's really going to bring him to that stardom level that he so rightfully deserves, and I'm so happy that he got this film. It started off with a simple tweet. He literally tweeted at Marvel and said, let's make this happen. Now he's the star playing Shang-Chi. I mean, if that isn't impressive, I don't know what is. And Awkwafina as well, she is really solid. While she is really known for basically just her comedy, she has been taking a different route recently, especially with The Farewell, taking more dramatic roles. In this movie, she does go back to the comedic route, and she is the usual Awkwafina that you love seeing. Her and Simu Liu have great chemistry with one another, and that is definitely one of the standouts of this movie. The camaraderie between one another was really fun. We were like an hour and a half into this movie, and I started to think to myself, this doesn't really feel like a Marvel movie. Like, there are definitely the callbacks to the Marvel universe, you know, it's a Marvel movie, but for that good hour and a half, it does feel like this movie does stand on its own, and it doesn't rely on having these big characters in the MCU. Like, I'm sure Shang-Chi will show up in a couple Avengers movies down the road, but he gets to stand alone and shine in this movie, and I'm glad that Marvel gave him this great movie to shine in. Those action sequences were great, but the visual effects is absolutely stunning, and there were multiple scenes where my jaw dropped. There was a scene that is highlighted in the trailer where they're in this room and there's water coming from each side of the walls. It is just absolutely beautiful and so immersive. The CGI can get in the way of a couple things down the road, which I will mention in a second, but for the most part, within the first hour, hour and a half, the visual effects are spectacular and top-notch. And the score from Joel P. West really shines in this film. I don't think the comedy is like hilarious. I don't think it's some of the best we've ever seen from Marvel, but it still is funny. I wasn't looking for it to be like a new comedy. It's a superhero movie, and when you have the good jokes, they do add to the overall film. So while they weren't hilarious, I did find myself laughing here and there. And the film just has so much heart. While on the outside it is a superhero Marvel film, truly on the inside it is a complex family drama with this father and son having this tough relationship. We get to see through the course of this film where the relationship fell apart, what happened in the past, and might I say, the back and forth between the present and the past does fit very well. It doesn't really feel clunky. It fits in the film well, and when it goes back and forth from to the past, to the future, the film doesn't really lose a beat and it just continues going. And with the deep themes, this movie does have some great characters who are fleshed out. You can see where the villain of this film, the Mandarin, is coming from. At the heart of it, he truly is a broken character, and you truly can feel for him. He's one of the better Marvel villains, and honestly in the entirety of the MCU. And speaking of the Mandarin, Tony Leung as the Mandarin is great. I have never seen this guy before. Like, I really need to dive into more of his filmography. He was truly a star in this film, right next to Simu Liu. It did really feel like they were father and son. And Destin Daniel Cretton directs this film incredibly well. Like, this is the guy behind some smaller indie films. He went from those smaller indie films to now Marvel, like large-scale filmmaking. He did a superb job. And I want to see him direct more action films in the future. And my last big positive about this movie is that it features one of my favorite scenes of the entire year. I don't want to give it away, but it is in the third act. It is hinted at in the trailers. There's some minor shots of it It doesn't really give too much away. But man, when I was mentioning like the breathtaking CGI and visual effects, that's what I was talking about. That final scene, which is pure enjoyment. It's between Simu Liu and Tony Leung, that's all I'll tell you, but it is just perfection. As for some minor negatives with the film, the pacing can drag at times. In the second act, it does feel like it's getting a bit stretched out. In the end, when you're looking at the movie as a whole, obviously those scenes were important, but it does lose steam here and there. And like I mentioned earlier, the CGI can get in the way in the third act. It does feel a little bit overstuffed. There's so much going on at once. You're trying to keep your eye on everything that's going on, and then it's just so much on the screen. It's almost entirely green screen, I would assume. Like, there's just so much going on. It does feel a little bit too much at times. I do wish that they might have taken it down just a notch. But other than those minor flaws, I really think that I could just get past those on multiple viewings. This is another fantastic entry into the MCU. I'm going to give Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings an A-. Make sure to stay for those end credit scenes, because man are they crazy, and I cannot wait to see where Marvel puts Simu Liu in the future of the MCU. I cannot wait to see more of him in Hollywood. Give this man more roles. He is just spectacular. Guys, thank you again so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, do give it a like, subscribe, and make sure to turn on the notification bell on to get notified whenever new videos like this go live. Do let me know down below in the comments. Are you going to see Shang-Chi? Are you looking forward to it? If you have seen it, let me know what you thought of it. I would love to have that discussion down below. And guys, look forward to more reviews coming soon. My name is Ben. People call me Meter, and I'll see you guys in the next one.